Hey everybody, it's Kristen. Today I wanted to share with you some of my action figures from the 90's. It's amazing how much action figures has changed in recent years, or from that point to this point now that we are at now. Um, anyway, the first one I wanted to show you was um, Magneto. Um, he kind of looks a little bit wimpy. I mean, here's his cape, which is just like a piece of cloth, and that's it. It had a little disc in here to hold it in place, but of course, I actually played with these, so I broke it. His helmet comes off, but he's not very like intimidating or opposing like this. So I mean, later versions of his action figure, like this one, the Asteroid M version, where he, again, the helmet comes off, has a full cape and everything. It's a plastic cape. But still, if you compare him to this one looks a lot more impressive, more imposing, like someone you wouldn't want to mess with. Of course, Magneto is one of the most powerful X-Men villains because he can control and generate magnetic fields. And this Asteroid M is when he decided he was tired of living on Earth with humans because he believes mutants are superior to humans, and therefore that's where he and Charles Xavier disagree, because Xavier believes in a peaceful coexistence between humans and mutants, and Magneto thinks that they are superior, that they should be ruling the humans, that they shouldn't have to answer to them, and therefore he went into space, hollowed out an asteroid, and made this whole civilization and invited mutants to join him up there, and that's where this look comes from. I have a couple of like really random ones, like Ahab. He's from the Days of the Future Past storyline, where the Sentinels are prevalent, and that's where Rachel Summers also comes from. Jean Grey and Scott's Cyclops' daughter from an alternate reality. It's like a huge storyline, like one of the biggest. But anyway, like he was a psychologist, and he actually used like hypnotherapy and drugs in order to make mutants into his slaves, his hounds, so to speak. And they would track down other mutants for him so that they could, have the Sentinels basically go get them, or like lock them up or kill them in this alternate future. And he is a human, but he's more like cyborg at this point, because he was damaged in a battle with Rachel Summers. So he, enhanced himself, and he shoots energy harpoons. So, again, a very random character to have. Let's see. I also have Sauron. He doesn't really do anything. He just kind of looks cool. He was a doctor, and he is mostly exists in the Savage Land. He got bit apparently by a mutant pterodactyl, and whenever he drains the life force of mutants, he turns into this, because he has to drain energy in order to stay alive. And his beak opens, or his mouth, and that's pretty much it in terms of him. But I thought I thought he looked cool. He's still pretty cool. Let's see. I also have Blob, or the Blob as he was known in his circus days. Supposedly once he decides not to move, he can't be moved, which is interesting because the Juggernaut, he can't be stopped if he decides, that he's going. Like, you can't stand in his way, so to speak. So it'd be interesting to see these two go to head. I'll have to see if that actually happened. It might have, because that would be really cool to see who wins. This one, he has a lever on his back. So when you press it down, he does this. I'm not sure exactly why. And he also has wheels on the bottom of his feet. Interesting. I mean, he's not really immune, but he's definitely a adversary of the X-Men because of his half-brother is Professor Xavier. Um, he's always bullied him because his stepdad wanted to get in good with Xavier's mom because she was rich, and so his dad always favored Xavier in order to look good in front of the mom. And he resented that. And so when they went into the army together, he found the ancient temple of Sidorak. I've also heard it called Sidorak, so I'm not sure which exactly is the correct pronunciation, my bad. And that's how he gained his powers. So he's not really immune, but he's still like a big, huge part of the X-Men storyline because, of course, his half brother is Xavier. How much closer to the X-Men could you get? Speaking of another, huge part of the X-Men, this is Apocalypse. Obviously, he's missing one of his things because, again, I played with him as a kid. Apparently he was one of the first mutants ever, and he can change and shapeshift his body into anything. He's really strong, and he kind of is immortal because he basically hibernates, so to speak, using like ancient alien technology, which sounds like an oxymoron kind of. And in doing so, he can extend his life for however long. I mean, apparently, well, he's one of the first mutants, and he's been around forever, so apparently he can. This action figure, it grows. That's pretty much it. But like I said, this was one of the early ones, so I mean, granted, they kind of look similar. Like Apocalypse should be way bigger than Magneto because he's like this broad, just physical, like imposing guy. So he should be bigger, but oh well. Let's see. Oh, and of course, can't have X-Men without Wolverine villains. Sabretooth, they were in Weapon X together. And when you squeeze his legs, he does this. And his mouth opens. I don't know if you can see that. And it's weird to me that, like, he had a relationship with Mystique, and they had a kid, Galen Creed, who founded the Friends of Humanity, which they hate mutants. So that was always very interesting. And then this is Lady Deathstrike, another Wolverine villain. I thought she was cool because there's not very many, especially back then, there wasn't very many female villains. So I thought she was cool. And of course, she's not technically a mutant either. She used cybernetic enhancements on herself thanks to Spiral and her body shop. And she's also the leader of the Reavers, cybernetic soldiers, in order to hunt Wolverine down. Because she wanted his adamantium because her father, he was the scientist behind that process, and she thought she owed it to him to basically continue his legacy, but she needed Wolverine to know how to do that. Anyway, she came with this claw thingy, which is kind of weird. It looks more like a crab claw, but again, random. Let's see what else. Oh, speaking of random, I have these two. They're not really villains. They're bounty hunters, actually. And they only appeared in like 2 comic books of X-Men that I know of. Uncanny X-Men 347, 348. This is Grovel. And when you touch his head, he does this. And this is Spat. And she is a grown woman trapped in a young girl's body. Let's see. See, here they are. And X-Men $347. Apparently they were after Gambit because he had a price on his head. And then I have this, which is the coolest one I have from the 90s. It's a Sentinel. Apparently you could, you know, pull this and grab somebody with it. Wow, I'm not doing a very good job of this. Oh, there. And then you reel it back in, so to speak. Of course, it's, you know, it's old, so it's not working like as well as it should, but then there you go, he's captured. And then if you push this button, his foot shoots off. I don't know if you can see that. See? Anyway. And then if you touch his head, his chest pops open, and look, ta-da! He captured an X-Men. So, I don't know. It was always, like, fun to have basically this, because it's kind of like, it's like a playset to itself. And you can put this back on. And, of course, that's Wolverine. And you put it back on. And he's captured. And I still have the box for it, too. Like, I kept that thinking, well, that was pretty cool. And you have, like, see, and there's Wolverine. And you have other X-Men action figures that were there at the time. So I thought that was kind of cool, too, to keep, or a reason to keep it, because it showed what else was popular at the time. Speaking of what else was popular, I also have the Blackbird. So if you open it up, like it has, obviously it's old, so it came apart, but it goes back together. But you have this, and it opens, which it's not working right now. That's embarrassing. Oh, there it is. Oh, my bad. It's like the, it's stickers, obviously, but it's like all the computer, you know, equipment in there and stuff. And then you can actually fit an X-Men in there. And then this will actually pop up, and you can shoot. So I always thought that was cool. And then you can put an X-Men in here. So basically 2 X-Men can fit in this playset. So let's see. Let's just like stick Magneto in here. So, not that he would actually go in here because he's not a member of the X-Men, but see, he fits in there. Shut it. And there you go. Like that was always my favorite like playset, is the Blackbird. Because then it was actually like you were playing X-Men. Because that was such a big part of the show. Anyway, that's that video. And next time I will show you my like actual X-Men figures. These were just like villains and playsets I had a couple of that I thought were interesting. But yeah. So I hope you will join me next time. Until then, bye.